TikTok, it's time to rock. It's the 5150 show. It's been a while since Brad and I have actually been here officially on the 5150 show.
Yeah, it has. Certainly has, Andrew. I like the new little intro music.
Yeah, it's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special show this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you are. I do look forward to the guest that we've got on. Brad is going to give a little bit of an introduction to our guest, and we're going to get him on. Before we do that, though, we'd like to say thank you to everybody that's going to be watching us live. We also appreciate everybody that watches our show, our channels, Brad, don't we, on replays. Yeah. It's always humbling to get you people coming back and checking out our channel over the days that we put up videos. It's always humbling, Brad.
Look, like I've been mentioning it on previous episodes, Andrew, you know, couldn't agree more. It's unreal that we're getting the amount of views on each show that we're doing. I mean, we've got one show's like 8,000 views, one's 13,000 views. We're up to 7,000 subscribers. So congratulations, Andrew. That's a massive feat considering like where we were like at the start of the year. It's amazing.
Well, congratulations to you too and the Rock Professor and to Hoss. And also, bro, obviously to all the guests that we have on our channel. Yeah. And also to all the hardworking people that support our channel behind the scenes. You know, we've got a few of them already here in the chat. We've got Ellen in the chat, Christopher in the chat, you know, that supply a lot of support to us with some awesome comments on our social media links. It's always fantastic to get that kind of support. And we look forward to repaying that back with anybody else that wants to jump on and do something similar to what we do here. And it's something that Brad and I and the Rock Professor will look forward to doing with people.
100%. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do all my talking now. Believe it or not. In the intro, Brad's going to run this show with our guest. So, what do you want to do, bro? Do you want to do an intro before the guest jumps in, or do you want us to get him in and do your intro? What do you want to do, brother?
Look, without further ado, I think we should bring Zakk in. He's sitting like a rock star in the green room at the moment, so we should get him on here and welcome my brother Zakk to the show. I've known Zakk a very long time, so it's very exciting to have him on the show, and can't wait to dig deep into some stuff. So welcome, Zakk.
Hey.
Hi, brother.
Hey guys. Thanks for having me. This is cool.
Zakk? Good to see you,
good.
Man.
It's a beautiful day here in Melbourne town.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And you're looking mighty fine there, Zakk, which is good. So it's good to have you on the show.
You're a powerful and attractive man, Brad.
Mate, exactly the same. I took the words right out of my mouth, Zakk. For anyone that doesn't know Zakk, like I've known Zakk for a very long time. We actually played in a band together, Rewind 80s, that I'm still playing in at the moment for a long time as well. And for everyone that's here, the first thing I think of when I think of Zakk Zedris is tone.
Wow.
He is the tone meister. And to go with it, he's got just the most amazing feel and chops. And I felt very blessed and honored to be able to share the stage with you, Zakk. And even just recently when you joined us for a guest spot, it was a mind-blowing experience for me, just because I love you so much, bro, and it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you. That's very kind. I love you too, man. Like, didn't we have some good times back in the day? And it was Tone City.
Yeah.
I'm sure we ruined our eardrums. Mine are.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, I think the very first time I joined Zakk on stage was in Rewind 80s, and I've known Zakk for a long time as well, but I'd never played with you before, and I'm not even sure if we did a rehearsal, Zakk. We just got up on stage, and I remember even in sound check, the first thing I thought of was, my God, that tone is just infectious. It was so good. So, you know, I was always, and still am always, trying to get the Zakk tone. It's just, it's embedded in my brain, that one instance, mate. So, you know, and we have a lot of common ground with the guy who works on our gear as well, was from Tone Revival Engineering. So, you know, without you, Zakk, I'm not sure if this thing would sound the way it does. So thank you, brother. And thank you, Was from Tone Revival.
Yeah, look, what I mean, I'm sure I did Waz's head in, because basically he worked on my amp for years. I remember, so when I first got my Marshall, first thing I did was get him to put an effects loop in it, and then I said, oh, I want more gain, you know, because it was just a JCM 800, which are fairly clean amps, and basically I wanted to not use an overdrive pedal. I just wanted to plug in and have the tone. So, and that took years, because we'd do one thing, I'd go off and gig for a few months, and I'd go, oh no, the bottom end's too loose. So you do one thing and it affects something else, and it's called tone chasing, and I think recently, after all these years, I've had to go enough's enough, because it's something you can do forever, really. And of course, your taste and your ears change, don't they? So,
yeah.
And yeah, you have to kind of put a full stop to things. You know, you could, it's like when you're recording, you could mix forever.
Yeah. Because I think as guitar players, we've always got a tone in our head we're chasing. But yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the rabbit hole thing, because you could continually go down the rabbit hole, and we'd probably drive Woz crazy if we just continually went to him all the time with those little nuances that we wanted changed. But big shouts out to Woz from Tone Revival. He's done an amazing job on my gear, and I know your gear sounds fantastic. So, but that's years and years of development and work that's gone into chasing that tone, Zakk, isn't it?
Yeah, I wanted to come on today because I wanted him to, you know, explain some of the technical things that he's done, because I just can't remember different filters and caps, and pretty much there's nothing original left on my Marshall now. We changed the output transformer. We changed everything. But hopefully we can get him on in the future.
Yeah, for a future show,
He's just
definitely.
mega busy.
We'll definitely
get you, me, and Hoss, and
yeah, and we'll just we'll drain him for everything he's got information wise.
It's interesting that you should talk about Wazza, because he's been on the show once I think we did some like Christmas show, didn't we, bro? And he jumped on from his phone. He was in between jobs or something like that. And what was really interesting, Zakk, about that occasion, I remember Brad saying when he took his amp into his workshop, he's plugging in, and Brad's playing while he's fiddling around with the amp, and you know he's got the soldering on, you know he's doing stuff while you're playing. It's like, really? Yeah. And like it was like, don't you guys do that in New Zealand? I was like, no.
That's the only way to do it, because a lot of times basically because you can be influenced by things that, like, I might have read that some guy said Bumblebee caps are the best, right? And so he would put things in. I had my back to him, and he'll go option 1, 2, 3, and he'll change it, and he'll do it a few times, and two sounds better than 3. Well, I can't remember 3. Go back to 3, and it works. And then sometimes after that, he would get on the drum kit and play along with you, because obviously something can sound great in the workshop, but then you go and play with the band and it's like, oh my God, my amp sounds terrible, you know. it's all these different things like, you know, when you hear, like, say, Eddie's isolated tracks, or nowadays you can hear any band's isolated tracks. A lot of those guitar sounds sound quite thin and nasty by themselves, and I think that's what people should realise when they're going for their guitar tone, not try and have this huge, wide, you know, you don't need tons of bottom end on stage. You know, you've got a bass player. And I actually did laugh the other day, Brad, because I think one of our gigs back in the day, I walked over to your amp and I just turned the bass down and walked off.
I remember that.
You should have punched me.
I was gutted. I was like, how dare you?
That was very rude. I'm sorry.
Look, yeah, no, I used to play with tons too much bottom end. I wanted to cover a lot of spectrum, but you know, over the years our ears change, and we also learn that with guitar frequency, you've got like a small area, and once you start going too bassy, you're starting to cover into that bass player's frequency, and it gets muddy, and even the kick drum, you can get lost a bit if you're too muddy. So to tighten that bottom end up is something that I go for, particularly now.
It was a big lesson for me to learn. I think maybe in the late night. I think in the 90s, that grunge guitar tone was, there was a lot of bottom end and stuff like that. But when I went back, because I used to mess a boogie for a while, but when I went back to Marshalls, I realised it's all about the mids. It's all about nasty, angry mids, you know, and that's all my favourite guitar sounds have that in them. They really should sound mean and aggressive.
Yeah, I think that overuse of bottom end came from me having a 5150 head, the PV one, and it was it just had ridiculous amounts of bottom end. So I was always trying to get that out of the Marshall, and I think I used to just flood it with bottom end just to try and capture. But no, I've learned a lot of valuable lessons over the years, and Zakk was pretty rude about some of them. So I've learned a lot from Zakk, I have to say. But listen, there's, you know, for a lot of people here in Australia, Zakk, they know who you are and what band you're playing. But for the sake of some of the people around the world at the moment that might be watching this later or now, you know, and they don't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what band you're currently playing in?
So for the last, I think I'm not good with times here and timelines and stuff, but I think I've been playing with Chocolate Starfish for about 5 years, and they were quite huge in Australia in the 90s. They had 2 big albums and a couple of big hit singles, and recently live, the band is very popular all around Australia. In February next year, we're going to start a national tour, February 3rd, playing the whole Bat Out of Hell album, which was quite a... the band, every couple of years, they've been doing like a classic album series, and they did the Bat Out of Hell one just before I joined, and we're doing it again.
Fantastic.
And tickets are already, or I think some venues are already sold out. So looking forward to that. So anyway, back to the beginning. I grew up in our nation's capital of Canberra, and about, I think 1989, I moved down to Melbourne with a bunch of fellas. I was in a band called Serpentine, and we moved down to Melbourne to make it in the Big Smoke. And we did pretty well. Sort of around the early 90s, we were a very popular pub band, you know, for a couple of years, and we were courted by Molly Meldrum and Glenn Wheatley, and all the labels came to see us, but we kind of imploded, as young boys do. So we were kind of the next big thing, just for about 5 minutes, really. And then a couple of us reformed into another band called Shivai, which was, I guess, a grunge outfit. And then after that, I did a band called Red Circle, which did pretty well around Melbourne. We went over to the States a couple of times. Even got a little bit of airplay over there. Recorded an album, but again, the band fell apart before we could release that. And then I was in sort of the wilderness for a bit, just did covers and stuff. That's when I met Brad, and was almost on the edge of giving it up just before I joined Chocolate Starfish, because I wasn't enjoying myself really anymore. And I always thought, music was something that for me has to be enjoyed to do it. It was feeling like a job, so I was getting really over it. I wasn't enjoying it. And then I did a fill-in with these guys, and they eventually asked me to join, and they're really cool guys, and I love playing with them. We always have a blast together, so that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I've heard of your other bands that you mentioned before. I've seen you with Starfish as well, and playing on stage with as well. It's just it's great to see that you're out playing, and some of the photos we'll show later, Zakk. It's just like it warms my heart to see you playing to such big crowds, and you deserve it, mate. You've worked really hard. Thanks, so well done.
Thank you.
So for everyone here, I know a lot of your influences, and we have some similar ground there. Can you tell us a little about what sort of blows your hair back? Were you a little tuft at the top there, musically? What musical influences got you into like playing guitar, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, it has to be initially it was Kiss, seeing Kiss, which I think maybe a lot of people my age would say, just seeing them, and how old was I? This is like late 70s, maybe 12. Seeing that and just going, that's my thing. So initially, then I first started playing drums, but then bass. So I was into Gene Simmons, and only when I got a little bit older, because at school, sort of me and my friends, our favourite bands were like Deep Purple, Alice Cooper, Thin Lizzy, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and then do you guys do a Deep Purple show as well?
We on the Sundays we rank albums. We do Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin. We do all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Where do you guys rank Come Taste the Band?
With Tommy Bolin on guitar.
Yeah,
it's a great album. I love it.
It's one of my favorites.
We should probably get you on to do a ranking of that, ranking the tracks of that album. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah. I'd love to. Or even the previous lineup, obviously, I think they call it the Mark III lineup, is my favorite Deep Purple lineup, which I know it's probably sacrilege, but
no, it's mine and it's Andrew's as well. We just did live in Europe last Sunday, and
Made in Europe.
Made in Europe. Sorry,
that's me in high school. That album was, I love that album. So I guess it was Blackmore and all those guys. And then I remember, so I had a high school jam band, and the guitarist I played for, I'll mention him, Sean Thompson. He's to this day still one of the greatest guitar players I've ever seen. He taught me a lot. I remember he brought, I reckon it was Fair Warning. He put it on at his joint and put on Mean Streets, and that was the end of that. So I guess that was, I know that came out 81. So then from then on, it was, because after high school I started playing guitar because I was in a band with my cousin, and it was like a bit of a Christian rock band. And
playing Black Sabbath.
He left. Yeah, his family, I think, left the church or something, and so I took up guitar, and it was a great time to take up guitar. I think that was like 1982 or 3, you know, like. And then from then on, I was just EVH. So then I got all the Dave albums and went bananas.
Yeah. You know, on guitar players, like obviously Eddie is the big one, but what guitarists at the moment are continually like inspiring you to pick up the guitar? Like, do you put something on and it makes you want to pick up the guitar and play? I know I've got a few myself that just every time I follow them on, say, socials on Instagram and I watch them, I'm like, man, I've got to go pick up my guitar, turn my fuzz on and try and do that. Yeah. Is there any at the moment, or that, you know, relevant players from the past that are still playing that do that to you?
Well, I know you've heard of Joe Holmes. Like, he's recently just joined social media. And so he's recording a new album at the moment. He's starting to post clips. He always inspires me. Also, that guy, Doug Rappaport.
Yeah.
You follow him. He's an insane player. But I look, any piece of music. I mean, I'm always inspired hearing Van Halen or John Sykes, or John Sykes is probably my second main influence. And any of the guys from Steve Stevens, like, he's done probably maybe 3 of my favorite albums. That the Atomic Playboys, the Vince Neil album has probably one of the best rock tones on it ever recorded, I reckon. Sure. And also this Billy Idol album called Whiplash Smile.
Yeah.
Now, from what I've heard, I don't think Steve likes those 3 albums much himself. But I'd love to go up to him one day and go, "Can you please sign these 3 albums?" I think they're incredible. His tone is just killer, and he's got that great sort of percussive thing to his playing, which I love.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting how some guitar players, don't like the great albums that we as fans like? I remember guys being blown away when Eddie Van Halen said that he wasn't very happy with the tone that he got off Van Halen 1, and that was the album that we all loved, Brad and Zakk. That was the album that we all went to bed with, holding and sleeping and caressing at night with, and to find out that he just, it was okay. Kind of, oh, okay, all right. You have to jump on board with where they're going, and I think it's part of that tone quest that you were talking about earlier. So sorry for interrupting, bro, but I always think that's interesting when our heroes say, "Oh, I don't like that album."
And it's funny, that there's websites and forums and just so many things devoted to getting that tone from the first album, And
there's been books written and YouTube channels on. Yeah, you're right. But yeah. But I don't like that sound. So what are you guys chasing it for?
I don't know.
Well, Ed was obviously a tone chaser himself, so I think just evolution time through, his career in music, he was just chasing something different, and probably listening back, he probably wasn't quite fond of it, but for Van Halen, they love it. So
do you know that a different kind of truth? It was also recorded with his Marshall, and it was all mixed. And Eddie hated it and went back to 5150 and remixed it and turned up all the EVH mics.
Yeah.
So
I heard that.
I hope we get wouldn't it be good to get a deluxe box set one day with a different mix? Or I know we won't because it's Van Halen, but
oh yeah, isn't it funny how there's so many things that could come out, now that Ed's gone, but we know we're never probably going to hear them because of the way that they operate, and they won't release it. But that would be an amazing box set to buy, to hear, like for the guitar heroes, want to hear the Marshall tone and want to hear that. Just it'd be insane.
The thing that sucks is that the majority of Van Halen fans are guys our age, and by the time it does come out, we're all going to be really old. Not that we aren't really old already, but
yeah. Well, there's a couple of things there that's really interesting. I'm glad that we, talk about it, because it's always something that Van Halen fans love talking about, isn't it? It's like, are we going to get that vault? Are we going to get what's in the vault? And we hang out every day, don't we, guys, that they're going to release something. But it's interesting. I was having a personal conversation with somebody that we know, and I'm not going to name who that person is, but they said, wouldn't it be great if the tax department went after Alex? And then Alex had to release all this stuff to make some money.
Oh, goodness. That's harsh, but that would be good for the fans.
I'll tell you, he said that off air.
Yeah, that would be harsh.
Oh,
my goodness.
So, well, so you guys know that, everybody knows, you know that there was a box set ready to go and finished, and the band went, nah.
Yep.
And, they because, all the, they call it the Zeros demos, the Gene Simmons demos, and then there's the Warner Brothers demos. They were all mixed to sound like the first album by this guy, and that was all ready to go. And I think most of the times, apparently, it's Alex that goes no, because he wants the band to be like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, timeless.
They didn't do it. But they, eventually Zeppelin have done these things,
Yeah. Well, we can live in hope and dream, and Alex, if you're watching this later, mate, please just release some stuff. We all want to hear it, and we don't mean the tax people coming after you either. No. We don't mean that.
No.
We don't want that to happen.
No, we don't. But look, I agree with what Zakk said. Look at Jimmy Page as an example. Look at the remasters that he's given us, and he's releasing stuff all the time. He's giving us that, that music category or back catalogue that they have. Neil Young's doing it too all the time. There's a lot of bands, Brad and Zakk, out there doing it for a lot of reasons. And I don't want to keep talking about the subject, but we hope that Van Halen can do that, and even come out with some remasters with the Sammy era albums would be great as well. So
yeah.
Did you hear that Billy Sheehan has a Eat 'em and Smile pro shoot show?
Yeah,
I've heard that. I read that somewhere. Yeah, that would be awesome, actually.
That was a crazy band. I saw them in Canberra, but that was the Skyscraper tour.
Yeah, geez, that would have been a good gig too, huh? That's my.
Actually, I'll show you something.
Yeah, bring it across.
While he's doing that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, okay, it's quick. Here we go. Wow.
No, hang on. Yeah, there.
That's a signature.
I love how you sanded around it.
Yeah.
Couldn't sand that off, could you, say?
No.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, mate, look, obviously Van Halen, and more importantly, Eddie Van Halen's been a massive influence to you, Zakk, and I know that personally firsthand. But, you touched on the Mean Streets thing, but just before. But do you remember that first time that you heard Van Halen's music and the effect it had on you, and what his playing did to you? Like, because I know what it did to me, and I'm always interested to hear this from other people, and I think I know this, but I'm sure the listeners want to hear this, Zakk. So, shoot.
It actually took a while, because I don't think I was, because I was into Kiss, and I was young. I didn't really get Van Halen yet, and I hadn't. So I wasn't even playing guitar yet. So it was kind of something that was unachievable till I got a bit older, and I started playing a bit of guitar, and then so apart from that mainstream, there wasn't like a light bulb moment of, you know, it jolting me. It kind of flowed into me, and then because this was like when I really got hard into Van Halen, it was actually the Van Hagar. No, actually, it was 1984. Because I remember catching the bus to go and get it. And then I had to go backwards. So yeah, there wasn't a jolt moment of it hitting me.
Okay. Yeah. Look, I think for a lot of us coming into it, like I think I came into, it was already the Sammy era when I got into Van Halen. So I had to go backwards as well. And I know Andrew went backwards from, what was it, Fair Warning, Andrew? You went backwards from there?
Yeah, I'm an old fart. And I remember when Diver Down and I was at school when Fair Warning and Diver Down were being released, Zakk. So yeah, but the big one was obviously 1984. That was the big one when everybody was listening to Van Halen, and then obviously people were going back and seriously listening to Van Halen. That's my experience.
Yeah. So, you know, when we lost Ed, I know you've told me the story, Zakk, but do you remember now, like, how it made you feel? I know what you've told me. For me, it was like losing a.
Yeah, I went and got like that.
Hold on, brother.
Yes, well, there you go.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Now it's under the. So yeah, like for me, it felt like losing a family member, someone that I, you know, that it was inspired me to, you know, pick up the guitar, and I realised that at the time it was unachievable for me. You know, at the time I had to. It was, but it still inspired me. The music itself was infectious. I loved it. But yeah, tell us, you know, on the day we lost Ed, how did it make you feel?
My wife woke me up and she said, Eddie Van Halen died. And I went, what? And then I tried to go back to sleep, and then I couldn't, and then I didn't believe it. Although, you know, I knew he was really, really sick. And then I got on my phone, and obviously my phone went mental, and then I started looking at all these pictures of Ed and had a little wham, you know. I had a big cry because, you know, that's my Superman, really, my childhood hero, you know. Even a couple of my ex-girlfriends even messaged me because they knew how much he meant to me, you know, and they sent really nice messages, and it was horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't a good day. I know, you know, because at the time, Zakk, Andrew, and I were talking regularly. I'd done a few shows with Andrew at that point, and I think the only way we could sort of, you know, deal with it was to actually get on and do a show. We just got on and talked about what Ed's music meant to us and things like that. But yeah, it was it brought a lot of people together as well, and also changed a lot of things for a lot of Van Halen fans. Maybe not so much everyone, but you know, it's a retrospective thing afterwards, looking back at, you know, Ed's music and starting to lose the whole. And I know it still goes on, and the Sammy, the Dave era, and the Gary era, and stuff like that. But more of an appreciation for Ed's, you know, evolution as a musician. I think.
I know a lot of people. A lot of people started listening to Van Halen 3.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
There's a comment here from Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
It says, it's strange to some of us in the USA to hear these stories about how late you all got into our greatest band. And I just want to reply to that is that we in Australia, we only had one TV show that played, wasn't even rock music, it was pop music, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that's how you became, there'd be a 5-second clip of, here's this band Kiss. I think Van Halen, up until maybe 1984, they were never played on Countdown. So I saw them in magazines. I remember buying Cream did a Diver Down Van Halen special. I bought that. So they were just a band I just looked at in magazines, and just these rock gods. But yeah, they were late here. We didn't get the. I don't know. I guess Van Halen one was released here in 1978, but we wouldn't have. It would have been hard to find.
Yeah. Well, they never toured here until pretty much their first gig was on the Van Halen 3 album. So
yeah,
their first gig here in Australia, which I saw them in Sydney, the Entertainment Centre, and part of that gig is up on YouTube, thankfully. So that's a cool memory to watch some of that back. But Zakk, have you ever witnessed Van Halen live?
Yeah, I saw that tour,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's it actually. Because I was meant to go to that other one,
big day,
but
yeah,
I was gigging and I couldn't get out of it.
Yeah. I think I might have been gigging too. Maybe we were gigging together at the time. I can't remember, but
was went and Marky who Mark Emanuele. I'll just name check him because he winds my pickups.
Yep.
He's another genius.
Yep.
But apparently it was awesome. They were right in front of Eddie. They said it was, it was insane.
Wow.
And for everyone in the US that watches us here in Australia, and I know it's probably the same for New Zealand, was we only got Van Halen here twice. We didn't get them here throughout the whole 70s. They didn't come through. So basically, we missed out on the Dave era and the Sammy era here. We missed out on that. So we weren't fortunate enough to be able to go and see, because Zakk, we've had some people on the show that have seen Van Halen 30 times, Andrew?
30, 40 times, Zakk.
It's just unbelievable.
All the eras of Van Halen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what was the first Van Halen record you bought, Zakk? What was the first one you went out and bought? I think you said it was 84, did you?
Actually, no. I think I bought the "And the Cradle Will Rock" single,
right,
which would have been 1980,
mm-hmm.
And I remember the B-side was "Could This Be Magic," and I hated it. I was like, "What are they doing? They're meant to be a hard rock band." I didn't get it, and I was really upset about it. It might have put me off Van Halen for another year, But then I do remember. I bought Diver Down when it came out as well, because so what was that, 82?
Yep.
Played the Jesus out of that.
Yeah.
I guess from 1980.
So, all of the albums, all the material we got, what's your favourite record, Zakk? Can you pin it down to one?
Van Halen 2.
I thought it was that.
I know everybody says fair warning, but I'm just going to beat it by the. For me, I'll explain why, and you can disagree, obviously. I think Van Halen 2 has the most. I'd say the real Brown sound Eddie tone, because it's out of all of the albums, it's the one with the least effects on it. It's
correct.
You're kind of just hearing Eddie's. The first album's got that big plate reverb on it. The third album, they tried to get the Van Halen 1 tone again, apparently. Fair Warning's got harmonizer on it. Same with 1984. And I just, maybe because the first one's played to death, maybe because the first one is so great and just unbelievable, I don't really, almost don't need to hear those. So I can always hear I'm the One whenever but there's some songs on that album I don't need to hear, like Running with the Devil and You Really Got Me, I'm just, Van Halen 2 just always puts me in it. It's the summertime album. It's a feel-good album. Eddie's rhythm playing on that is just out of control. I just think it's got every element of Van Halen. It's got the pop numbers. It's got heavy numbers. It's got, it's got everything. Makes me happy.
There's a couple of guys that agree with you in the chat too, Zakk. And while we're talking about the chat, guys, I'm going to do a quick shout out while a lot of people are here. So if you guys can just give me a little bit of a second. We've got Christopher Live Sauer from the United States.
Hey,
he's a very good friend of the channel. Helene O'Hara from Melbourne is in the chat. Nice to see you, Helene. Will, good to see you, Will. Who else do we have in the chat here? Guys, I think we had Gretch Zeppelin, one of our T-shirt winners. Zakk Zedris is in the chat. Any relation? Any relation? Jack Zedris to Zakk Zedris.
Yeah, that's my son.
Good to see him. We've got Dan of New Jersey.
His middle name is Halen, my son.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to carry on this shout out and we can talk about that. We had the Rock Professor in here, one of our co-hosts in the chat, keeping an eye on us. Good to see you, Rock Professor. Up here we had Ellen Toll in the chat. Tim Thomas, another good friend of the channel, joining us. Brad. And I think that's about it, bro. I think we've got everybody that's here. John ZD351 popped in, another good friend. He's based in Melbourne as well. Yep. I think that's it. Adam Roach, if I have missed you, Fast Eddie EVH is up here. Guys, you guys are fantastic. Thank you for joining us. We'll do a shout out later on. If you guys have any questions, please, for Zakk, put them in the chat too. And Brad and I and Zakk will do our best to get the messages to him. Halen. Halen is his middle name. Wow.
It's actually Jack Halen Ace.
Oh.
That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome, man.
There's a question here from John, and he asked if I played with George Christie. Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yep.
And may he rest in peace.
Yes, I played with George.
So we did after George passed away, we did a concert at the Espy where my old band Serpentine reunited because it was one of George's favourite bands.
Sure.
So we did like a sold-out show at the Gershwin Room, and then a couple of years later we recorded an album and released it through Melodic Rock Records, a Serpentine album, and I'm really proud of that. It sounds really good. There's lots of 80s shredding on that.
Awesome. We need to do one other quick little shout out, Zakk. Forgive me for interrupting, to Simon Hosford, Hoss, who was going to come on here and join us, but last minute travel arrangements, Brad, meant that he couldn't jump on. So Hoss, if you're watching on replay, good to see you, brother, and we do look forward to you coming out and hanging out with us on the 5150 show, brother.
Yes, 100%. We miss you. We miss you, Hoss. We do miss you. And I know Zakk would have been tickle pink with you joining us on the show. But next time when we get Was on, we'll definitely get you on, Hoss. You'll have to put aside in your itinerary time for that one, mate. We're looking forward to that show.
Shall I throw up a pick in relation to the question that Christopher's asked?
Yes, well, that's what I was just about to say, Zakk. Where can anyone that's watching this now or watching this later, where can they go and listen to is the stuff on Spotify? I'm pretty sure I've seen it on Spotify in the past, yeah? It's on streaming.
Yeah, so obviously there's Chocolate Starfish releases on Spotify. I played on the most recent album.
Yep.
But if you want to hear some shredding, check out a band called Serpentine Sky.
Yep.
That's on all platforms. And that one that you just had up, that's Red Circle. That was like a pop. Yeah, that's it. That's on Spotify and iTunes and everywhere else.
I'll include all those links, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching on the replay, we'll have all Zakk's social media and website links attached to this video so that you can go there and support him. But Chris has asked the question. He wants to know, like, what kind of crowd are you playing in? So, look, how many people are in that audience watching you there, Zakk?
I think that's about, I can't remember now, but it looks pretty big, doesn't it?
More than 20 people at my local blues club jam.
Yeah. So that's at one of the, we've been lucky to do a few of these. They have these, that's called the Monday Bash, and it's out near Broken Hill.
Wow.
And people can look, it's up, I think that was maybe 12,000.
It looks more than that.
I think. Yeah, maybe they have, I think they have 10 at these big Red Hot Summers. Yeah, look, that's a cool picture, isn't it?
That looks more than 10,000 to me.
Yeah.
It looks more like 30 or thereabouts, but my numbers aren't great, so. But yeah,
it's big.
They're great. They and the atmosphere would have been fantastic there. Look at the sunset; that's amazing.
We were on right at the right time then, and obviously out in the desert, those sunsets look incredible. You know, you get those huge purple, orange skies, and it's a great experience. We're going to do it again next year.
Awesome. Look, you know, we've got some photos, and I think Andrew's shown a couple of them already, but we'll go back to them in a minute about your gear and stuff like that, Zakk. But
sure.
Like I mentioned before, you know, when I think of Zakk Zedras, I think of tone. Mate, what's been your driving inspiration to keep you going down that rabbit hole that we spoke about earlier? Like searching for that sound in your head? Is that what drives you to keep doing it? Have you been satisfied with your tone? You know, is it something that you
look? I'm like any guitarist. I'm actually never satisfied with my tone. Like there's sometimes I'm playing and I'm going, God, I hate that sound, you know. But I've learned to, as I said earlier, you just got to look. I've done gigs where we've turned up and the wrong backline's been there, you know. And I've had to do a gig with a little Fender or something, you know, and initially you're mortified, but at the end of the day, I tell somebody else, nobody in the audience notices unless you're standing up there stressing out. Nobody cares, except for it's all happening in your own head, you know. And you just have to learn to live with it. So I haven't had a mod on my amp for a couple of years now because, as I said, it's a never-ending rabbit hole of. But obviously, you know, if Woz might text me and say I've got these new caps in or these new tubes, and I'm like, all right, I got to try them out. Luckily, he's busy these days, so I don't see him much anymore. But look, I'm sure we drove our wives mad. I'm going to Woz's again. Even my wife would go, "Oh, you still tone chasing, are we?" Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, so you're not searching for something new now. Like you're pretty confident with your tone. I agree. I've done gigs in the past, like even with you when we flew up to Northern Territory, and we did that Starlight Foundation gig, and we just had a couple of 800s or were they 900s? I can't remember, but they
were 800s.
They're red,
I thought they sounded pretty good, didn't they?
Yeah, they were okay. But then I've done gigs where you rock up and they're, you know, the backline high is meant to be a JCM 800 or 900 or 2000, and it's a Fender Twin, you know, and you're like, how am I going to get my tone with this, you know? But like you said, I think it comes down to the people that are watching the performance. They're not necessarily as focused on it as what you are, but for me, And the reason I'm saying this, for me, it affects my playing. Does it affect your playing as well? Like, do you find
I just want to answer Chris's question here. Let's see if we can. It's just sort of flared out, isn't it?
Yeah. When Andrew comes back, you can isolate you, mate, and it might show up a little bit better.
So let me just grab something. Oh, take 2 secs.
No problem. So we've got a few people. Yeah.
This is how it solves the backline problem. I bought one of these.
Very, very interested in this.
So, for a long time in Australia, the backline marshals were JCM 900s, and not my favourite marshal. And the thing is, these amps were never maintained, so you'd rock up. These amps only get worked on if they die. So you rock up and you plug into an amp that you don't know how many people have played through it, and they're just clapped out, and you're just like, oh, this is going to be. So for a long time, I travelled with do you know the ADA MP1 rack preamp? I travelled with Waz's because that got similar to my sound, which is it's a modded Marshall. Let's just call it that.
Sure. So
I travelled with that, but it's really old, and I knew that one day I'm going to rock up and it's just going to be dead, So I read about these. I don't know where I first saw one, but so this company, Synergy or Synergy, they make these preamps. They make a Fender one. They make Marshalls. There's Diesels. There's Bogners. This is like a Friedman HPE model.
Yep.
I went in and tried maybe about 10 of them, and that one instantly sounded sort of like my tone. So all I do now is I rock up with that and plug it into the effects loop of the higher Marshall, the return, and off I go.
Yeah. Do you run into troubles if there's no effects loop? Can you run it any other way?
Look, yeah, you can, but on our backline rider, it has to be a Marshall with an effects loop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So Andrew, can you show that photo that Zakk sent through of that Synergy again, please? So that for all the people out there that might rush out and buy this because of you, Zakk, is that your settings?
Let's have a look. Well, actually, yeah, it is actually. It depends. Obviously, it depends on the power amp you plug it into. The top end is quite sensitive. Some amps, but yeah, that's my settings.
That's cool. Yeah, well, there's the Zakk tone there in a box. Yeah, so if you want to rush out and buy this,
note the mids are pretty cranked.
Yeah. Notice I can see you've got the was it the bass around 1 o'clock there, Zakk?
Yep.
That's about where you put mine on my that gig.
Was it at the Croxton?
Yeah, it was at the Croc. Yeah.
So just explain again for people what that does again, Zakk. That unit.
Okay, so it's a preamp. So it replaces the whole front end of the amp that you're using. So you go out of the back of this, goes into the return of the Marshall, and then the only controls that you can use on the Marshall is the presence.
Wow!
But everything else you just, and it sounds unreal.
Wow,
that's great. Well, that's a really good one for touring musicians, and obviously to go chase something like that, because it's a fairly light little piece of equipment, isn't it, Zakk? It's fairly light.
It's not light, but you could put it in your gig bag if you just covered it with your carry on, if you just surround it with towels and stuff. It actually fits really nicely in my pedalboard case.
Yeah, wonderful. And so obviously, when I think of Zakk's tone, I always think of his Marshall head, that 800, which is, a bit of an animal thing. Andrew, do you want to show some photos of it and you talk a little bit about it, Zakk, just to so the listeners can understand what I'm talking about? Obviously, it's not just a straight Marshall JCM 800, is it? Well, that's your guitars, which I was going to ask you about. So, talk if you want. What we can do is, So this is the little photo I was talking about.
All right. So from the outside, you can see it just looks like a normal Marshall. There's no extra switches except for this tiny little one there. So that's a cool little WAS switch of. So a lot of guys, when they get their amps modded, a diode switch gets put in the amp, which is basically like it's like a distortion pedal, really. So I've got a switch. We can switch the diodes on or off. So at the moment, I can't remember what I've got them on. So I can go from full. I've got like 4-stage tube gain, or I can hit the diode, and then that gives me kind of it's more compressed and not as open, but it's kind of gives you that I would call John Sykes tone, which is not usable in a lot of situations, really. So you got to go for more of a. It's like a. So I've got it's a traditional. I'd say it's a traditional rock tone, but with more sustain, if that makes sense. It's all about sustain,
And so you rock up on a stage, you set your gear up. Would that be something that you switch between to see what works for you on the stage, or is that what it's there for? Just so we all get a better understanding. Like, would you switch it on stage while you're playing to see what works better on the sound for the stage?
I would just do that in sound check. Like sometimes if you're like we did our album launch for Chocolate Starfish at Chapel on Chapel, which is like a sort of a more smaller, intimate place. So I had to be a little bit more conscious of my stage level. I switched the diode on them because you can get more of a singy tone at a lower volume with the diodes in.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like like what you've got on your Slash amp, the Pento triode mode. It's not like that, but it kind of works like that for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, that's cool. And do you want to go through, maybe Andrew, just go through some of the gear photos and Zakk can talk little bit about them and why he's using them in that way. And do you mind, Zakk, if we do that?
Not at all.
All right, so talk about this photo, Zakk.
Okay, so that's now. It seems like it's my son's guitar now. He's teaching himself guitar. He's actually last week he came up to me and asked me what I thought of Vivian Campbell. Like, he's just turning into a mini me. He goes, "Would Vivian Campbell be in your top 100 guitarists?" Actually, I love Vivian Campbell. He's one of my earliest influence, that Holy Diver album. And anyway, so that guitar is a guitar my best mate Ben Smirk put together. It's killer, actually. He got this hand-wound pickup by this guy in the States to be like a Eddie Paff. So I think it's got this. It's an 8.7 Alnico 5 humbucker. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. It says on the bottom. It sounds amazing. It's got Eddie tone, that pickup.
Zakk, your son's mentioned he's got that in his room, and do you want him to bring it to you? So get him to bring it in so we can isolate it, mate. Have a look in the flesh.
All right. Let's see if we can.
Jack, if you're listening, mate, bring it in. Bring it into Dad.
I'll just message him.
Yeah. No, he's listening. He's chatting. So So what's this one, Zakk? This is a gig where you've got the two marshals together.
Here he comes. Here you go. So
hello, Jack.
Hey.
Hey, Jack.
They're saying hi. Oh, hello. So yeah, this is he's ode to the 78, which is one of my faves.
Yeah.
It's a killer guitar. I went and took it to my friend Marky last week for him to put a 250k pot in it, and it actually sounds unreal.
Yeah, cool. It's a great looking guitar. What sort of necks on it? What sort of necks on it, Zakk?
It's sort of I would call it a D-shaped neck.
Okay.
It's actually quite fat, but I'm not really into big fat necks. But this is fat, but it's easy to play. And you can hear how loud it is acoustically.
Is it big frets or has it got big frets or?
No, small frets.
Okay. It's interesting because I always find with bigger necks or wider necks or whatever, I like higher frets and I find them easier to play that way. That's all. But I'm a high fret guy. I like frets to be a bit higher.
A high fretman, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where were we at? Were we talking about my aunt?
So go back to that photo, Andrew. That I like this photo, Zakk, and maybe you can explain, what you've done here for us.
So that was the stereo setup at the Palais. That's the other Marshall is Waz's, and it was kind of sometimes I prefer to play in mono than stereo. It just sounds meaner. Where there's two ways to make your amp in stereo. You can either do it with a chorus, or I did it with delay. So I had them slightly delayed.
Yep.
And it sounds. What's cool is that's Waz's quad is. So we both have these 1967 basket weave quad boxes with greenbacks in them, and they're the best sounding boxes I've ever heard.
Yeah. That's a great photo. And obviously this photo here, you want to explain a little bit here because these are. I've had the pleasure of tinkering on these guitars in the past. More recently, the white one. But do you want to talk about them?
Yeah, sure. I'll just grab the white one because So when you had a play on it, you like that neck pickup?
Yep.
Well, I changed it. So this has now got a that's a Seymour Duncan Classic Stack Plus, which was actually recommended to me by Hossie, and it sounds great. Just the one that was in there before was super bright, and didn't really work for me. So this is a bit more tamer and it has a little bit more output. The other one was, I think, 5K or something. So it was hard getting. It was hard getting it to wail. It's more of a sort of a Hendrixy type pickup.
Yeah, I think what you've probably done to it to level it out a little bit better with between the bridge and the neck pickups. Yeah, it's a bit leveled out, like even.
Yeah,
there's more of an even tone there. Yeah.
But this is a killer guitar. I love it. It sounds amazing. It's got that really cool Charvel neck shape.
Yeah, I love the neck on it. Beautiful. Show the body up to the screen there, Zakk, so everyone can see. That's that's how Zakk bought the guitar, people, not how he hasn't. That's a beautiful guitar, Zakk. I really enjoyed playing that. The neck felt great, and I love the reverse headstock because I'm a Hendrix nut, so I like that sort of vibe. It's cool.
Yeah, it's killer.
Yeah,
it's I've always ever since Eddie's Eddie's Bumblebee had a Charvel neck on it for a little while. So that was the first time I saw Charvel. And then then there was Warren DeMartini and J.K. Lee, and then and Vivian Campbell had a Charvel as well. I always wanted one, and I just thought they were the coolest guitars,
Yeah, I remember you sent me a picture of the thing, and I was like, "Oh man, that's sick!" Before you even purchased it, you were like, and it's ironic because it's like every time I see something that I think Zakk would like, Zakk messages me that day or the day after or the day. It's weird. And I did see, what's the guy's name? Hendrik. What's his name? The
Hendrik. I don't know how to say his surname, so I'll say Dan Hage.
Yeah, but I can't pronounce his surname. But I remember seeing on Instagram, because I follow Charvel, and I saw something about that guitar, and I was like, "Oh, that's a pretty cool looking badass guitar." And then I think that day or the next day, you sent me a message about that guitar, and I pictured you playing it because I know you've got your other white guitar with the Steve Vai signature on it as well. But I thought that's a real Zakk guitar.
Yeah, I lost my mind when I saw it because look, I'll show you this quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is can you see the?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's an original Kramer. The body was the original 1984 Kramer Beretta, which was actually the first proper Eddie Van Halen signature guitar.
Yeah. Correct.
And it's a heavy. I think it's maple. It's about as heavy as my Les Paul.
Yeah.
But it sounds amazing. I changed the neck on it though.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I changed the neck on it though because they came with a rosewood neck with the hockey headstock.
Yeah.
So the previous guitar, the Charvel with the one the reverse headstock, the Hendrik one, it did like John ZD351 was mentioning about the push pot thing to swap pickups, and you've done some mods to that guitar, Zakk. Do you want to quickly just
I'll
because
just get it
I like what you've done to it. Because in a live sense, I think when you've been playing as long as you have, Zakk, you get used to certain things, yeah.
So it came with just the knob was here, and it was a push, and I didn't even get to doing a gig with it because I was playing it at home, and I was like, I can't do it. I'm used to having the knob there, and the whole push thing. Yeah, I had to change it straight away.
Good.
Is it also a visual thing, Zakk? When with the push thing, you could probably not tell which selector it was in unless you're listening. Yeah, so you could be on your neck pickup and expecting it to come in on your bridge pickup. Yeah, in a section of a song. Yeah. So that from a,
it obviously works for him, but Sorry,
he probably stayed on his bridge pickup a lot more than his neck. That guy, the way he plays. Yeah. So
I don't know if you've heard his band, which I'll mention my friend here, Steve Cox. It's my friend's favourite band of all time. He's always trying to send me their songs, but it's that sort of European progressive metal, and they're tuned down to C sharp. And
well, when I did my first gig back after my stroke, Zakk, we showed some of the photos that I took from the show that we did where you got up on stage with us and that, and then Andrew was kind enough to show one of the photos of me holding your guitar on stage where I was, having a tinker on it. And so we were talking about that guitar in detail, and Andrew showed one of the Charvel promos of him playing in like his band and stuff like that, so people get an understanding of why the guitar was designed a certain way and stuff like that. So so we're a lot of people here have probably seen a lot of that Charvel promotion now because of Andrew. So between you and Andrew, you probably sold a few more copies, of that guitar. So But in the previous photo where Andrew was showing you both guitars there, mate, you wouldn't have your Les Paul handy, would you?
Yep.
Oh,
Do you mind pulling that out? Because that's a, you know, I want to hear you talk a little bit about that. We have a lot of Les Paul buffs on this show, so tell us a little bit about this guitar. You acquired this a long time ago, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I got this 1991. I used to work at Manny's we were in Collingwood then, and this came in and was hanging on the wall, and every day it would just be calling to me, you know, and I'd always play it, and you know, luckily, you know, I just said, look, I want to buy this guitar, you know, and so you get on the drip feed when you work there. It just comes out of your pay every week, and I originally, and I kind of wish I still did. I had the Jimmy Page wiring put in here, so every pot was a push-pull pot, and it was really cool. And I kind of wish I still had it, but so now all I've got is I've got a split coil on each pickup.
Yep. And
I've got something here that's, I reckon it's pretty unique. On the back, so I've got all my guitars, I'm into a treble bleed. You guys know what a treble bleed is?
Yep.
I don't, okay. So I can't play with a treble bleed, but sometimes...
Sorry, Zakk, explain it for the people who don't know, please.
Okay, so a treble bleed is... is it a resistor? It's a resistor that sits on your volume pot. So when you turn down the volume, it keeps letting in the top end, because if you don't have if you notice, like on a 50s Gibson or something, if you turn it down, the tone gets very dark.
Yep.
So this treble bleed circuit keeps it nice and clean all the way down, which, you know, for me on the neck pickup, if you're playing clean, it's quite a necessity to have that, you know, really clean sound. So I've got that on both pickups, but I've got a switch on the back here, which actually switches on my bridge pickup, switches the treble bleed on and off.
Right.
So I can roll it off, because I don't think Eddie used one really back in the day, because you can hear how he rolled it off and it got, you know, warm and brown, and sometimes you want to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. That's a really good feature, Zakk, because you know, for a lot of like guitarists like myself that are into the blues and that, when you roll that tone back, it gives you a distinctive tone as well. So it's good to be able to switch between treble bleed and traditional roll off. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm surprised nobody does it, because I reckon it's really cool.
It's a great idea.
I did a tour with the singer of Chocolate Starfish. We did a tour doing the Bohemian Rhapsody soundtrack.
Yeah.
Which was, for me, in the beginning, I won't swear, but you can imagine how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Because Brian May's a god, and I wanted to obviously do him justice and play everything note for note. And so, I mean, I do play guitar every day, but I gave myself quite a strict regime of playing for a couple of hours every day. And so when I did the Queen stuff, I had the treble bleed out, you know, because I do play with my volume control a lot, but it was cool just to learn from the master anyway.
That would have been
he's a master.
Oh yeah, Brian May was amazing. That guitar, excuse me, that guitar, Zakk, that's been through hell and back. That guitar, it's been left on.
Oh, how about this? So, all the finishes have been taken off the neck. It actually has. I've sanded not just the finish. I've actually thinned it out to like I guess it's a 60s shape.
Yep.
Do you remember when they did the classic pluses and all those sort of in the early 90s?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yep.
Yeah, there were two shapes, and this is
Yeah. But tell the story of how I got left on the airport tarmac. Yeah.
Oh, what's that story?
You lost it, didn't it? It got lost by the airport.
It's been lost a few times. Like it's gone to Canberra instead of Queensland. It's so scary.
Yeah.
You know, you're at the airport trying not to lose it, where they go, "Oh, your guitar's gone to Canberra." And, apparently the band said my face just said it all. Like they go, "How did you stay so cool?" It's because I died inside, I think.
Yeah, it's an awful feeling when you rock up and you're waiting for your guitar to come out, and out of special luggage or oversized luggage, and it doesn't come, and you're like, "Where is it?" And it doesn't come. You're like,
it's the worst feeling when you're waiting there, and eventually everybody's gone. You're still standing there, and then the carousel stops.
Yes,
that's the worst feeling.
And it's not coming out.
It's an awful feeling, and I'm sure it's happened to you a few more times than it has to me, Zakk. But last time it happened to me was up where was it, Alice Springs, and it was a horrible hot day. I didn't know where my BC Reach was. It just didn't show up, and I needed it for that gig, like for the Floyd Rose stuff, for all the Van Halen and the stuff I need Floyd. And I'm like, I can't do a gig without this guitar. I need it, yeah. And so it got through, but it flew from Melbourne to Sydney instead of up to Alice Springs. Like it came up to Sydney with me because it was a stopover, and then it ended up going back to Melbourne instead of to Alice Springs. And then all of a sudden, they flew from Melbourne up to Alice Springs as I'm leaving Alice Springs to go back to Melbourne. So it rocked up a day late. That was the last experience that's happened to me. It's an awful feeling, though, when you're standing and everyone's got their luggage and they're going, "Come on, Cookie, let's go." And I'm like, I haven't got my guitar. So it's the worst feeling. So,
I remember one time I had to none of my gear arrived, so they ended up just ringing people. So I did a gig like with a regular, like a Fender Strat and a Mesa Boogie combo, and you just have to laugh. You just do the gig, and and he's laughing.
I guess a player of your caliber, you can get away with playing anything, though, Zakk, and still sound amazing, mate.
But too kind, Bradley.
So on this show, the 5150 show, we do talk about Van Halen eras and stuff like that. We love all eras here, so we're not biased to one era. We try to acknowledge that it's all Ed's music and where Ed was at that particular point in time when he recorded the music. But Zakk, tell us your favorite era and why. Can you give us an answer to that straight out, or is it too hard to sort of to go through that?
Oh no! Look, it's obviously the original Van Halen. I shouldn't say obviously, because I know people love Sammy, and I love the Sammy era when I was in it. But these days, I listen to the Dave era.
Yep.
I'm always happy to listen to the song Pound Cake or Humans Being. They just absolutely rock. I like it. Yeah, Carbo Wawa is a cool song. The song 5150 is unreal. Yeah. And obviously Sammy is an incredible singer, but it's original Van Halen for me.
Yeah. But in the past,
let me show you something, because to me they are completely different bands. I think I even, if in my phone, in my iTunes, I actually have them in as different bands. Can you see that?
Yep.
So when you want to when I want to listen to Van Halen on shuffle, for me that'll be all the Dave era. Or if I want to listen to Van Hago, it's but you can't put all Eddie changed completely as well. You know, his guitar sound, his playing, his songwriting. So they are very, very different bands. So I treat them as different bands.
Yeah, I guess for me, you know, when I came into Van Halen, it was the Sammy era, and for me, like my go-to album to listen to is Carnal Knowledge record. I put that on all the time, or not every week or anything, but I put that on regularly, and I love that. I love the Balance album. I love Humans Being. I wish that, you know, in retrospect, looking back, that they could have continued that sort of path of with Sammy, because it was getting heavier again and it was getting darker, and you know
his guitar tone on his guitar tone on Humans Being is awesome.
Yeah, it's monstrous. And for me, I love them all equally. I guess, you know, I listen to but I have to agree, I listen to the Dave era for a particular reason, and I listen to the Sammy era for a different reason as well. Like they are two bands,
yeah.
That's how I see it. And you know, because of this show, Zakk, that we're part of, I've actually got a new appreciation for Van Halen 3. That's something that you know, because of the co-host on the show, where we've ranked the record and we've gone through the songs and particular things, I've gone back and reevaluated that album, you know, and I've had to reevaluate a lot of the Van Halen albums because of this show. You know, it's interesting when you go back and listen to it from other people's perspectives, and you hear different things. It's good to do that.
Do you guys know that Alex only played on 3 songs on Van Halen 3?
I knew he only played on a few, but I didn't know the exact number.
No, nor did I.
So, you know, what we're starting to learn now is it was a true Eddie Van Halen solo album, you know, like so Alex only played on 3, Mike only played on a couple.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Obviously, you know, it was an album where if they had a producer and somebody just to rein in Eddie a bit, it might have been something just unbelievable, you know. But Eddie was kind of left to his own devices, and you kind of hear that in the end result, you know. But for what it is, especially that he's passed, you know, it's cool.
Yeah,
I think you've hit the nail on the head, Zakk. I think it gives you that different perspective. You know, I renegotiated a different kind of truth after Eddie passed. You know, there were some songs there I really, really loved, and we discussed this live, Zakk, and, you know, the tone is pretty good, you know, but when the artist passes away, this giant, and you know, our generation's Hendrix, you know, for example, you know, passes away, it does have an effect on the way that you listen to these albums. And I never, and I, you know, Brad's mentioned it just even now, I never really rated Van Halen 3. And it was only because of Eddie's passing, and you've hit the nail on the head too. You know, it's a solo album. It's Eddie's solo album, isn't it?
Yeah, very much. There's a cool outtake. Have you heard that song, That's Why I Love You?
Yes.
That could have been a hit single, you know, but, you know, I don't know what was going on then, but these are the things we hope to hear from you. That album would be great if it was remixed. Same with, look, I don't love the mix of a different kind of truth. It's super compressed, and it's kind of jolting, you know, when it comes on, you go, whoa. But, you know, there's some cool stuff going on, you know.
Look, also we can praise that we hear more stuff come from those vaults, and to be honest with you, I really do hope we hear, like, I know there was more material with Gary recorded, you know, for another album.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure we ever heard the light of day and stuff, or whether that became material for a different kind of truth or whatever. I've heard of conflicting things, and
they recorded a live album with Gary, which is around. Live from Pittsburgh or something.
Right. Okay.
That sounds really cool. You know, Eddie was great on that tour.
Oh, he was, you know, seeing him in Sydney, I was not far back, crossed to the middle a little bit, but more closer to Ed's side, and I was blown away as just how good he played. And when he kicked into Mean Street, I just couldn't believe, like, I was like, I think I froze because I never expected him to play that live. Yeah, when they started after the tapping bit at the start, when he started the riff, I was like, "What? They're playing this song?" I was wrapped. Yeah, it was good to hear.
He had an odd guitar tone on that tour. Do you reckon?
I think he was using those PV guitars and the Wolfgang, and I think he had a distinctive tone with the Wolfgangs at the PV ones. I think they had a very distinctive tone that was different to the Music Man, even though the Music Man was probably the starting point for the Wolfgang, really. But I think he was still using PV 50-on-50s at that point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those, I've had a PV 50-on-50 for a long time, and they're a fantastic amp, but they've got a very sizzly sort of guitar tone compared to a Marshall.
Did you guys have Brian Young on once?
Yep.
Yes.
So I've spoken to him online because I don't know if you've seen any of the shows he did with Dave that are on YouTube. Like I thought he was phenomenal, right? And he had a great tone, and he was using 50-on-50s on that tour, and he's a killer guitar player, unbelievable.
No, he's fantastic. He's unbelievable.
All credit to Gary, though, for that tour. That was the tour that I saw Van Halen on, and, Gary played all the eras. He never sort of said, no, I'm not playing this era or that era, and he did well. He did well with all the songs. And we were lucky, though, weren't we, guys, that Eddie was playing really, really well. It's recognised that he was. We were all blown away when we saw him, but, years later when you see the footage, that Sydney gig that you're talking about, Brad, and you go, the guy was playing really, really well on that tour. He was, he hadn't succumbed to any of these dark demons that he got caught up in later on. So we're certainly lucky.
I think because the album, I mean, one of the reasons for him, going down that dark hole was that the album was such a flop commercially,
Yeah.
That was a real gut punch to him, and I think he had his as well as divorce as well. It's just all compounded, I guess, and
definitely had a lot going on there, and very sad sort of to see. But I mean, it's wonderful to see, and Zakk, you might feel the same way having a son as well, that his son helped him and got him back playing again, because I know Ed was probably ready to sort of maybe say that's it. I don't think he was ready to do another record or anything.
Well, it was
without Wolf.
We've all seen the videos from the 04 tour, and he must have been close to death around that period. He was like a samurai skeleton, wasn't he? And just lying on the stage, and so it was great that he got himself together, and because on that 2015 tour, he looked, you see those pictures now, he looked so healthy and happy, and it makes it even sadder, because he was just. It was a great comeback.
Yeah,
good point.
But
point.
The point being, I think a lot of it rests on Wolf, to help him.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, with his son, and a lot of people that are over the years have sort of given Wolf a bit of a hard time about, and the Michael Anthony thing and all that. But without Wolf, we might not have got a different kind of Truth and all those tours afterwards, and there might not have been any more Eddie Van Halen music at all.
That's right. It's been said a few times that the only reason he did it was for Wolf. Wolfie was the guy that called David Lee Roth and said, "Come to these rehearsals we're having." you know.
Yeah.
Wolfie did more than what people, you know. Wolfie on those last tours, he was writing the set list. You know, if people rag on him, they don't know the full story, because without him, Eddie would, you know, we wouldn't have got those last couple of years. Wouldn't have got that album.
I agree.
100%. 100%. Yeah, it's funny now because, you know, when A Different Kind of Truth came out, my son was very young, and he used to listen to that album flat out. And it's still, to this day, it's one of his favorite albums, because it came out when he was, you know, young kid. So, Tattoo, when that comes on, he goes, I've got Elvis on my elbow and stuff like that. Like my son. So, yeah, it's he loves it just for that reason. And so it kind of ties in for me, like it was Ed's son, and my son got into Van Halen around that point in time, which is very cool. It was so, you know, in a roundabout way, you know, God bless Wolf for helping his old man out, you know, inspiring him.
Yeah.
You know, obviously he needed that.
Keith Campbell's got a good comment here. I'm saddened to say the 04 show was probably the worst we've ever seen. I'm so glad that he came through the other side. Thanks to Wolfgang for 3 tours and 2 albums, you know. So, yeah, I can't look at any of those 04 gigs.
Some of those videos, I think Ed starting Humans Being, you don't even know what song he's playing. Yeah. And he's just jamming, and you could see Mike and Sammy just going, oh, man.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, there's a few train wrecks there, unfortunately. And even some of his solo section where he used to play Eruption and that, it's like, I don't know if he was trying to channel sloppy Jimmy Page or what, I don't know, but it was sad to watch.
He's just lying on the ground with the feedback.
Yeah, and all sorts of things. So
the sustainer. I'm glad he dissed the sustainer too.
Yeah, but the sustainer works well for recordings, I think, like in some of those songs. I think Humans Beings got a sustainer on it and stuff, and they're great for overdubs and stuff, but not in a live sense. We want to hear Ed play, you know, with that sustainer.
You can see there's a few guitarists, like I thought Phil Collin from Def Leppard. Once they're on your guitar, they get addicted to them, and they use them all the time.
Yeah. No, look, God bless Wolf and rest in peace, Eddie. It's but Zakk, thank you so much for coming on the show, brother. And I hope you know, if there's anything else you want to talk about, now's the time. Let's talk about it, because if not, have we shown all the photos, Andrew? Have we shown all the photos there? Zakk,
yeah.
Hey,
we have.
I saw this morning that I can't remember the timer, but I think in about 10 hours on YouTube is going to be the Taylor Hawkins concert, which Wolf's playing it. I reckon Wolf's going to play drums.
You reckon?
And so there's rumor. You know, Wolf said he'll never ever play a Van Halen song. Yeah, so there's rumors that with Mammoth, right? So this time there's rumors he might play with Taylor's band Chevy Metal, who played tons of Van Halen songs, right? Yeah. So we might see Wolf playing drums to a Van Halen song, maybe.
So he might finally play Panama.
Yeah. Zakk, I've got a couple of questions for you. So, you know, you've been a gigging musician for a long time, and quickly, when did you decide, you know, that you were going to make a career out of music? You gave us a bit of a rundown on your steps into some of the bands, but when did you decide that you were going to make a career out of music? And what advice what's the best bit of advice you can give to any aspiring guitar player or musician that you've picked up on?
Best advice, what I say to my son is obviously it's practice.
Okay.
You just never stop practicing, never stop playing guitar, you know, like, because especially at our age, you know, you just got to keep everything alive, you know, like even your body, you know, that's a friggin' treadmill behind me. Practice, and obviously keep an open ear to all different styles of music. You know, I listen to lots of different styles. You can learn something from anything. Now, there was never a decision for me to become a professional musician. I think it came to me. In high school, it was the only thing I aspired to be.
Wow.
So I just made it happen, you know. Once I left Canberra in 1989, so I'd already, when did I finish high school? 1983. And I started playing in bands there, and we played around. Canberra's a city, but it's a very small city.
Okay.
We played that everywhere you could play in about a year, and we're like, well, what do we do next? And so we moved to Melbourne, and I really just got jobs so I had an income to pay for my rent, because I wanted to keep playing guitar and being a band. You know, I remember somebody said to me once, I've never had a plan B, which is probably it's probably foolhardy now. You know, like I say to my son, you know, luckily he's really smart, you know, so
Good.
I want him to get a proper job and have it. I want hit music to be a plan B for him, because especially in this day and age, you can't sustain it. I think we had the musician's pension back in my day. You know what I mean? But you know, look, I didn't have a plan B, but it's kind of a bit silly if I think about it.
Yeah, I've always been, you know, a big advocate for there's no reason why a musician can't work a job. You need a job to survive, to pay the bills, to buy guitar strings, to put new pickups, to buy and tone chase and do all the mods you want to do. And you know, I've been a big advocate for, you know, pursue your career as a musician, but always focus on keeping the paycheck coming in, whether you're playing gigs or not. And I think that's a really important part of life, yeah. Because I know, Zakk, a lot of musicians that, you know, they just have never worked on a job really in their life, and they've pretty much live in hovels, and they don't have much of a life now. You know, it's sad to see where they didn't focus on trying to keep money coming in, which is something that I think there's no reason why a musician can't do both. That's, you know, I mean,
100%. Like, you know, you've like, I've always had side jobs and stuff like that, because you got to work hard. Like, I have met people through the years who think that the world. Some people are born extremely talented and think the world owes them, you know, and but it's not like that. It's all about working hard and also having being thankful for things, and being humble and being nice to people, and you know, being a good person.
One of your things that you you know, I think it might even be on your Instagram or your Facebook, or as your slogan is, you know, just be kind. You know, there's nothing wrong with being kind to people and everyone that you meet. And, you know, sometimes there's no reason to not be kind to people. So, you know, but going back to the thing about musicians and working, I think it's important in this day and age. And, you know, I try and instill the same values in my son is, you know, when you get older, you've got to pursue your career and do what makes you happy, do what you love, but always focus on that important part of life, which is a job, you know. I think it's imperative in this day and age. I
just want to answer John's question. He's asked again, because he must have missed the comment. So, yeah, I did play with George Christie. That was in a cover band. We were called Agent Orange, I think. But then we changed our name because we had a Facebook page, and there's a California punk band called Agent Orange, and they bombarded our page. They told all their fans to bombard us, and it was actually a nightmare. Some people were very mean, and then we changed our name to I can't remember right now off the top of my head. Radio Chaos. But yeah, that's what I played with George. George had the best hair in rock and roll ever.
Yeah,
he was an awesome dude.
George filled in with Rewind 80s a couple of times and he was a lovely guy and a fantastic drummer. But his hair, was his personality. You could tell that he was a bit larger than life because of his hair. Yeah, so he
was late to gigs sometimes because his hair wasn't right, so he'd redo it. He'd get back in the shower and wash it again, and it was worth it because it always looked incredible. But it was always about the hair.
Yeah, no, lovely guy. I didn't know him as close as you did, Zakk, but no, lovely guy.
Yeah.
But well, Zakk, I got, like I said before, thank you so much for joining us today, and I am going to put the feelers out to Woz and yourself and Hoss, and we'll tee something up in the not too distant future to do a tone geeky session.
That'd be fantastic, because then Woz can actually talk about the technical things he did to each of our amps and how annoying each of us are individually. And
I'm not annoyed.
I know you and Hossy love. Nice. You and Hossy always want more bottom end. I know that.
That'll be nice, Zakk, because he has promised us a couple of times that he would do that he would come on and hang out with us and talk about all these technical things. So if you can lean on him for us and
I will
put some pressure on. But no, we certainly look forward to it. But please come back. Please come back, Zakk. You have a permanent.
I'll be happy to.
On our channel here. If there's anything that you have coming up that you want to take advantage of on our channel, please let Brad know. Let me know if there's any musical projects you've got coming up that you want to take advantage of and give us an opportunity to present that for people. We'd love to do that for you. It won't be any problem, Brad. It's what we do.
Thank you.
So keep that up your sleeve and always on your mind. We'll do that. We'll promote anything that you want to do, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So yeah, just touring Australia next year from November, February 3rd with Chocolate Starfish. Every major city. We're actually doing a lot of regional shows as well. Tickets on sale now on our Facebook or our website.
Okay, and for people who are watching the replay, I will have on this video, I promise, all of Zakk's social media links. He's going to send them through to us and we'll attach them. Please go through and reach out to Zakk and his projects. Like, follow, whatever links we attach. Let him know that the 5150 show sent you. And we'll even include Zakk's YouTube channel. We'll include that on our channel's page. Now, that's really important, folks. All our friends are on our channel's page. So when you've subscribed to us, if you go to our YouTube front page there, you'll see channels. Click on that and go and subscribe to everybody that's on that channel's page. If you want to be on that channel's page, Brad, it's easy. Give Brad a yell. Give me a yell. If you're a friend of Zakk's and you want to be on there because you know Zakk, we'll put you on there. So reach out to Zakk too. We want to create a good hub, don't we, Brad, of sharing people's social medias, because some people did that for us, Zakk. They helped us, and we'll always help anybody else.
Yeah, 100%.
anytime you want to debate some albums, I'll be happy to come back.
Well, Zakk, I'm going to hold you to that. And, you know, my next album choice will be Come Taste the Band by Deep Purple.
Cool.
And we'll get you on to do the rankings. So maybe, you know, we'll have a chat beforehand and explain to you how we do it. And, you know, we'll get you on and do that because I know how much you love that record. So we'll do that one with you.
Awesome. So with you obviously ask all your guests their favourite Van Halen album. Is Fair Warning number one so far?
Yeah.
I think it's probably the most common answer we get, Fair Warning. But Van Halen 1 and 2 are probably the equal as well. Yeah. For the listeners, and this might be a really hard one because I can't pin it down to one particular song, but is there one Van Halen song that's your go-to song to rev you up, or like that one song that just does it for you, that it epitomizes everything that Van Halen is? Is there one? It's
got to be Main Streets for me. Main Streets.
Got to be. Easy, eh? Easy answer.
Pretty much everyone.
Look, because I've said this for years. I've made Facebook posts about it, but you know that G chord he hits in the beginning is the greatest ever recorded G chord in the history of G chords. It's just,
100%.
You know,
every time you hear it,
awesome.
Every time.
Awesome.
Like my car stereo just gets you know. That's where I really listen to music loud. You know.
Yeah.
It's just my world, isn't it? I think everybody, when they're in their car, they're just in their zone. And
that's where the cranking happens for me these days. So, but yeah, Zakk, thank you so much, brother. And, you know,
thanks for having me.
You know, doing more shows with you. And, you know, I look forward to the day I can share the stage with you again. And hopefully it's sooner than later. Let's try and make it happen sooner than later. Like I think the gap between the last time I played with you and this time has been too long, brother. So, you know, if you ever need a guitarist for hire, Zakk, I'll put my hand up to back you up. And one day we will make it happen. I know we've spoken about it in the past. Do some recording together and stuff, like even if it's one song just for a laugh and a joke and over a couple of drinks and a pizza or something. We'll do something together one day.
Unreal. You're bribing me with food?
Yeah.
Food and
No, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. It's been fun.
Yeah, we're going to cruise. Don't go anywhere, bro. We're going to play the last video. Cool. But just one point, ladies and gentlemen. Please follow Zakk. We'll attach his social medias and. It's easy to do. Brad and I are going to be back tomorrow with the Rock Professor. Actually, we've got a show in the morning with Steve Rosen, author of Tone Chaser. Yes, we've got Steve Rosen on. Yeah. So we're going to hang out with Steve Rosen for a couple of hours. And then Brad and I with the Rock Professor doing ranking of the tracks. Keith Hartley Band, Half Breeds. So we look forward to that. Zakk, thank you very much for joining us. Brad, what a wonderful set of questions, bro, that you had lined up for Zakk. I do look forward to having the rest of the Melbourne posse here on a future show. That's going to be controlled mayhem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it'll be a laugh because it's hard to control once you get more than 4 guests. I think it's just once you get more than 4 people on the screen, it's hard.
All right. We're out of here?
Yeah, stick around, Zakk. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.